Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Water's Edge. Whether you're joining us online through Facebook or YouTube or right here with us in person, we're so delighted to have you here. We believe that everyone is here for a purpose, and we're excited to spend this time together in worship, community, and growth. For those joining us virtually, don't forget to hit that like button, share our content, and drop a comment to let us know you're here. And if you're with us in person, we've got a few important updates for you. If you have little ones, we are pleased to offer a nursery and kids church right across the lobby where your children can experience a safe and engaging environment while you enjoy the service. The heart of our community is our volunteers, and we're always looking for passionate individuals to join us. If you feel called to serve, simply scan the barcode on the screen or text the word volunteer to 844-793-7384. Here at the Water's Edge, we strive to be a welcoming space for everyone. Whether you're facing challenges, seeking spiritual growth, or just looking for a place to connect, this is where you belong. If you know someone who might benefit from joining us, either in person or online, we encourage you to extend that invitation. Get ready for an uplifting experience this morning as we come together for worship and receive a powerful message from Pastor Tony. We're confident that today's service will lead you feeling encouraged and inspired.
What's up, everybody? Good morning, and once again, welcome to our Water's Edge online Sunday morning worship experience. Thank you so very much for tuning in and choosing to spend your Sunday morning with us and to worship with us and to hang out with us. We have a little bit different background today because today, while we're filming, we actually have laundry day and healthcare day and vendor day and a job source day in our auditorium for the homeless community. Miss Kelly and Lisa and their team have put together a wonderful event today for the unhoused community. We're feeding them, hanging out with them. Off Our Rockers is in there today. We have vendors in there today. We have a shower truck there today. We're doing laundry today. So there's lots of ministry going on in this building today, in your home that you call the Water's Edge, which is why we have a different background while we're filming. But that doesn't matter. We're still here today to worship God, and thank you so much for tuning in and hanging out. Also, for those of you that continue to worship with us and through a very beautiful and sacred way to worship online, and that's through giving and generosity, thank you so very much for doing that. Continue to do that. For those of you that invite people to our services and invite people to check us out online, and for those of you that continue to worship with us through giving and generosity every single week, understand that when you invest your life that way and you reach out to people and you give through worship like you do, you allow us to help more people, love more people, feed more people, serve more people, minister to more people, and help more people grow in their faith and show our city and our community in Southwest Louisiana the body of Christ, the grace of God, and the love of Jesus. Thank you so very much for doing that. Today, we begin a brand new series called When God Smiles. And this is what I mean. According to Jesus, and according to some very specific teachings of Christ, there's some very specific choices that you and I can make. 5 specific choices. And if we make these choices correctly, then we bring joy to Jesus, or we make God happy, or we please God, or we make God smile. And so welcome to week 1, and today we dive into the first choice that we can make that can bring joy to God's heart, or it pleases God, or it makes God happy. Notice this picture on the screen today, and notice what it says. The very first choice that we're going to talk about today that brings joy to Jesus and pleases God and makes God smile is this. It's when we choose faith over fear. When you and I choose faith over fear. And again, notice what it says, that faith invites Jesus into spaces that fear tried to shut him out of. And so faith was trying to get you to not give up, and fear was trying to talk you into giving up, and faith conquered that fear. Fear was trying to talk you into staying inside of that boat, and faith was trying to talk you out of staying in that boat and stepping out of the boat, and faith conquered that fear. Fear makes excuses, and faith overcomes those excuses. Fear gives into those weaknesses, and faith goes to battle and war against those weaknesses. Fear lays down when you face giants, and faith goes to battle against those giants. And so faith will invite Jesus into those spaces in your life where fear tries to keep him out of. Throw that next picture up and notice this today. Hebrews 11:6, that without faith, it's absolutely impossible. Notice this, to please God, or to make God happy, or to make God smile, or to bring joy to Jesus. So the first choice that we're going to discuss today that pleases God or makes God happy is this. The first choice that we're going to talk about today that brings joy to Jesus is this. It's when we choose faith over fear. It's when we choose faith over giving up. When we choose faith over walking away. It's when we choose faith over losing our passion for seeking Jesus and worshiping Jesus. I think most of us growing up are probably given a nickname. Our friends gave us a nickname. If you were anything like me growing up, your family also gave you a nickname. My friends in high school called me Tony the Tiger, but all my family just called me TR for Tony Ray. Your friends give you a nickname, your family gives you a nickname, and sometimes the nicknames that are given to us by other people can be funny. Sometimes they can make us laugh, but sometimes these nicknames that people give to us can be kind of cruel. And if I were to ask you today to tell me about some of the nicknames that you were given growing up, some of those nicknames could bring up some painful memories for your life. People love to point out. People love to tear down. People love to judge and criticize and make fun of our failures and our screw-ups and our mistakes and our weaknesses. And they love to remind us about those weaknesses and those failures over and over and over again. Religion is really good at doing that. One of the 12 disciples of Jesus, he was given a nickname throughout the years by everyone, but specifically by the church. So pretty much anytime this disciple is mentioned, this nickname comes to our mind. We refer to him by this nickname that pretty much always reminds us of this, though. This nickname given to this one disciple throughout all the generations and years of the church was given to him, and it reminds us of his weakest moment. Not his strongest moment, not his greatest moment, not his most passionate moment of faith, but the nickname given to him reminds us always of his weakest moment. And it was a moment of doubt, and we know him by this nickname, Doubting Thomas. John chapter 20, verse 24. If you're still with me, say I'm still with you. One of the 12 disciples, Thomas, nicknamed the twin, was not with the others when Jesus came. And so the disciples gave this disciple a nickname, and it was called the twin because he had a brother, and it was a twin brother. And that name in Aramaic and Greek meant the twin, which means he probably had a twin brother. We pick up in verse 25. Notice this today. They told him, "We have seen the Lord," but he replied, "I won't believe it unless I see the nail wounds in his hands and put my fingers into them and place my hand into the wound in his side." 8 days later, the disciples were together again, and this time Thomas was with them. The doors were locked in the place where they were staying, but suddenly, as before, Jesus was standing among them. "Peace be with you," he said. Verse 27. Then he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here and look at my hands. Put your hand into the wound in my side. Don't be faithless any longer. I want you to believe. Believe, my Lord and my God." Thomas shouted. "My Lord and my God," Thomas proclaimed. It's this one episode, it's this one moment in the life of Thomas that really defined him in the eyes of everyone else for centuries, for years and years and years, that caused the church for years to refer to him with this title. a nickname that highlights his battle, a title, a name, a nickname that highlights his weakness, that highlights his failures, that highlights his brokenness. He's been labeled Doubting Thomas for years by the church, by people who say that they love God and people who say that they love people. He was labeled by his weakest moment by the church, given a nickname, Doubting Thomas. And so most of the time when we hear about this one disciple, it's always in this category. Not about his strengths, not about his passion, not about his faith. Anytime this one disciple is mentioned, it's always in this category. Oh, he doubted Jesus. He had a mistake. He had a failure. He lost his faith. And as religious people, we're so good at that, aren't we? We love to highlight other people's lives by their battles. We love to highlight other people's lives by their past. We love to highlight other people's lives by their weaknesses and by their guilt and by their scars, don't we? Man, shame on us. Shame on religion for doing that. Shame on religion for making people feel that way. Shame on religion for producing all that false guilt and all of that false shame. Shame on religion for placing people who are hurting under those burdens simply by always highlighting people by their failures, always highlighting people by their mistakes, always highlighting people by their brokenness and by their battles. But always remember this, and this is always true in God's kingdom. God's heroes are unlikely heroes, and no great story ever has a perfect character. And your story is far from being over. Because here's some other things that we need to know about this disciple named Thomas. So in John chapter 11, Jesus has a friend named Lazarus in Bethany, in the region of Judea. Lazarus is dead. Jesus needs to go back to this region, and he's going to call Lazarus out of the grave and raise him from the dead. And we all know of the disciples, we all know that they're like, man, Jesus, we don't need to go back to this region, because the last time we were there, they were threatening to kill you and they were threatening to kill us. It's too dangerous to go back there for you, and it's too dangerous to go back there for us. Every disciple said that. Let's not go back there. It's too dangerous. They don't want you there. They want to kill you. They want to stone you. They want to crucify you. They are threatening you. It's too dangerous. Let's not go back. Every disciple said that except one. John chapter 11, verse 16. Thomas, nicknamed the twin, said to his fellow disciples, let's go too and die with Jesus if necessary. That's courageous. That's bold. That's prepared. That's brave. That's faithful. That's faithful. That is faithful. And this was a very crucial moment in the life of Thomas. But it seems like we don't remember this moment. We don't highlight his life by this moment. Some of you have never heard this verse before. You've heard of Doubting Thomas before because we love to highlight people by their failures, but you've never heard this verse before. You don't remember this verse. We don't talk about this much. We don't call him Brave Thomas, do we? No, we call him Doubting Thomas. We don't call him Prepared Thomas, Courageous Thomas. We don't call him Faithful Thomas, do we? No, we call him Doubting Thomas. Or what about how his life ends up? Man, what a great story. What a fascinating story. Around 52 AD, after Jesus had risen from the dead and ascended, and the church begins to spread all throughout the world, all throughout the Roman Empire, Thomas travels outside of the Roman Empire to a place called India where they didn't know about Christ. And he starting churches and loving people and reaching out to people. And history tells us that he reached over 17,000 people for Jesus in India when he moved him and his family there. But here is a man who went to an unfamiliar place with nothing but God's love, and he made a difference. He didn't live in India. He didn't know about India. He just took his family and his passion for Jesus and his passion for people and his passion for the faith and with courage and bravery, he moved his life to India and reached almost 20,000 people. And then he was murdered for loving Jesus, for being in the faith. He came a long way from doubting Thomas. Why? Because his story didn't end there. It got better, and so can yours. Have you ever went through a time in your life where you had some serious doubts, some real intense doubts about God or about Jesus or about your own life? About your own faith, about your own sincerity, about how genuine you really are. If I were to ask you today to raise your hand if you've ever battled with doubts, everybody listening to me would raise their hand. Yes, Pastor Tony, I have battled with doubts about myself. I have battled with doubts about my faith and doubts about God. If we're all honest right now, we would all say that we have battled with doubts. We have suffered. We have been through tough times. We have been through heartache. We have been through tragedy, and we have doubted God. We have failures. We have battles. We have sins. We have regrets, and we have doubted ourselves. We have questions. We have confusion. We have more questions. We have more confusions, and we've doubted our faith. We've been through difficult times, and we've doubted God, we've doubted ourselves, and we've doubted our faith. And most of the time, these doubts make us feel like we've lost our faith, and we've gone so far backwards that God is disappointed in us, and God is upset with us, and God doesn't want to have anything to do with us, that we've let God down, and we've let ourselves down. It seems like Thomas went backwards, didn't it? In John chapter 11, while Jesus was still alive, he's ready to go forward with Jesus. He's courageous and bold. I'm going to die for Jesus. I'm going to die with Jesus. And we're the same way. When I feel like God is close to me and I feel like I'm strong and everything's going great in my life and I have so much faith. But then in John chapter 20, after Jesus had died, Thomas thought he's gone. It's all over with. He left me. He left us. Even after Jesus shows back up in the resurrected form, Thomas doubts because his heart is still hurting. And we do that too. When we feel strong, when we feel like Jesus is close to us, we're ready to go forward no matter what. But when we go through heartache in this life, and pain in this life, and loss in this life, when we experience doubts in this life, it feels like God is gone. It feels like God is far away, and we doubt if we'll ever be close to God again. Will I ever pray that way again? Will I ever feel strong that way in my faith again? Will I ever worship that way again? Will I ever feel that intimate with Jesus in my life again? And we doubt if we'll ever be close to God. Even when God tries to move on us, we still doubt our faith and we doubt ourselves. He'll answer a prayer, but we're in so much pain that we doubt Him. He'll move on us in worship, but we're in so much pain that we doubt Him. He works in our heart and works in our life and works in our circumstances, but we're in so much pain that we doubt Him because we think that our doubts have caused God to be disappointed in us, to be upset with us, to be frustrated with us. But let me ask you this, and I need everybody to pay attention to me right now. If you're still with me, say I'm still with you. Let me ask you a question. John chapter 20, verses 27 through 28. Then he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here. Look at my hands. Touch the wound in my side. You can believe now. Don't be faithless." And you can tell by his response that Jesus was gentle and peaceful with him. Notice his response here. He says, "My Lord, my God." My Lord, my God. Does this seem like Jesus was mad at Thomas? Upset with Thomas? Disappointed in Thomas? Does it seem right here that he was let down by Thomas's doubts? No, not at all. Not at all. Do you see how gentle he was? Do you notice how Jesus didn't shame him or criticize him or just come down hard on him? Did you notice that? Did you notice how Jesus didn't praise the other disciples in front of Thomas for not doubting? Did you notice he didn't, in front of Thomas, walk to John and say, John, I'm so thankful that you didn't doubt me. You notice he didn't walk up to Matthew, Levi, in front of Thomas and say, Matthew, I'm so glad that in these moments of confusion that you didn't lose your faith and you didn't doubt me. He didn't do that, not at all. Jesus went straight to Thomas first. Notice that. He went straight to Thomas first. The only one who was doubting. He went to him first to help him believe. After this, Thomas became a wildfire for Jesus. A wildfire. Fearless. See, doubts are not the enemy of our faith. Unbelief is. Jesus tells us to believe. The opposite of believing is not doubting. The opposite of believing is not believing. The opposite of belief and faith is unbelief. We all battle with doubts, but doubts are not the enemy of your faith. They're the brother and the sister of your faith, because doubts cause you to dig deep. And once you start digging deep and you get past them, they propel your faith into a stronger version. Let me give you a few observations about our doubts today. The first one is this, and notice this today, and we're almost done. Doubt your doubts about God. So, Tony, what if God is not good? What if God is not real? What if God is not forgiving? What if God is not for me? What if it's not true? I have all these doubts. Well, here's another question. What if your doubts about God aren't true? What if God is good perfectly? What if God is loving and forgiving and for you perfectly, unconditionally? What do I do when I have doubts about God? I doubt those doubts and I keep going forward. The second observation is this. Doubt your doubts about yourself. Yes, you have faith, but it could be stronger. Yes, you have faith, but it could be more sincere. Yes, you have good motives, but they could be better. Yes, you have prayed prayers, but they could be more passionate. Yes, you have discipleship in your life, but you could be more devoted. And so you doubt if God really even wants you because you're not as perfect as you think you should be. Some of you are doubting if God wants you because you're realizing that you're not as perfect as you think you should be. You have faith, it could be stronger. You pray, they could be more passionate. You're trying to serve God, but you could be more devoted. That's the story of everybody's life. That's the story of everybody's faith. But even if you do get stronger, that's not going to make God love you more. Even if you pray more, even if you have more passion, that's not going to cause God to want you more and love you more. He already wants you perfectly. He already loves you perfectly. You have all these doubts about yourself, and then you think God is upset with you, and so then you think you're not worthy, and so you back away from God. And that's how it plays out in our life. You have all these doubts, you think God's upset with you, you think you're not worthy, and so you back away from God. And the whole time Jesus wants you so much that he keeps walking after you. Remember, he went to Thomas first and he says, look at my scars. Look at what I did for you. Some of you need to make a decision today to prove yourself wrong. You think you're done. You think God can't use you. You think you're a failure. You think your past is too bad. You think you have too many doubts. Thomas stood up and he moved to India and he impacted thousands of people and he proved the world wrong. He proved the enemy wrong, and he proved himself wrong about his life. Trust God, get up, prove yourself wrong, and go forward with Jesus. And he proved everyone else too. Maybe other people have labeled you also the doubter. Your past is too bad, too weak, too flaky, not good enough, not holy enough, not godly enough, not faithful enough, not devoted enough, not strong enough. They have doubts about you. Well, doubt their doubts too. Doubt your doubts about yourself. Doubt this world's doubts about your life. and doubt the other people's doubts that they have about your life too. Stand up and prove them wrong. What you're going through right now is not the end of your story either. You think because you've had failures that it's the end. Because I have regret that it's the end. Because I have guilt and pain and weaknesses and shame that it's the end. But if you keep fighting, if that could be the very thing that propels your faith into standing back up again and getting stronger. Your story of you standing back up again may be the very story that helps someone else overcome their past and helps them stand back up again. Your story of standing back up again may be the very story that helps someone else overcome their pain and their weaknesses and their battles and their giants and their excuses, and it helps them go forward with Jesus. No great story has perfect characters, and your story is not over by a long shot. Thank you so very much for tuning in today. Thank you so very much for hanging out with us today. The first decision that you and I can make today that makes Jesus happy and pleases God is to walk by faith, to get out of the boat, to choose faith over fear, because faith will invite Jesus into those spaces in your life where fear is trying to draw him out. So thank you so very much for hanging out with us today. Continue to stay tuned in for an amazing time of worship with the amazing Water's Edge worship team. We cannot wait to see you back next week, and we love you all.
I've carried a burden for too long on my own. I wasn't created to bear it alone. I hear your invitation to let it all go. And I see it now, I'm laying it down, and I know that I need you. I run to the Father, fall into grace, done with the hiding, no reason to wait. My heart needs a surgeon, my soul needs a friend, so I run to the Father again and again and again and again. Oh, oh, oh. You saw my condition, had a plan from the start. Your Son for redemption, the price from my heart. And I don't have a context for that kind of love. I don't understand, I can't comprehend. All I know is I need you. I run to the Father, fall into grace, done with the hiding, reason to wait. My heart needs a surgeon, my soul needs a friend, so I run to the Father again and again and again and again. running into your arms is running to life from death. And I feel this rush deep in my chest. Your mercy is calling out. Just as I am, you pull me in, and I know I need you now. So I run to the Father, fall into grace. I'm done with the hiding, no reason to wait. My heart needs a surgeon, my soul needs a friend. So I run to the Father again and again. I run to the Father, I fall into grace. I'm done with the hiding, no reason to wait. My heart found a surgeon, my soul found a friend. So I run to the Father again and again and again and again. Oh, again and again and again and again. Oh, again and again and again and again.
What a powerful message from Pastor Tony. We hope today's worship left you feeling inspired and encouraged. If you want to stay connected, follow us on Facebook at Waters Edge Gathering or Instagram at WatersEdge_LC. You can also download our app for easy online giving, worship music, and past messages from Pastor Tony. If you have questions about salvation, baptism, volunteering, or need prayer, stop by our Welcome Center in the lobby. Just scan the barcode and our team will be ready to assist. We love and appreciate each one of you, and we can't wait to see you again next week at Waters Edge, where everyone belongs.